Perfect. So we're going to be talking about networking today. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to run through some slides. For those of you who have seen a version of this training before, I reworked it a little bit, but there's a lot that I want to say that's the same. And it's good stuff because it's stuff we should all be doing on a regular basis. So a couple of you are newer and you're just getting into networking. So we're going to like kind of start with the basics and go a little bit more specific. Um, should be slideshow mode. Okay, there we go. All right, so networking for referrals. This is something that we encourage people to start relatively soon after joining the team because it helps you diversify your lead sources really early on. So why this matters from a profitability standpoint, last year we generated, as you can see, a little over 575,000 in AV, which is a six-figure first-year commission, probably 126,000 in commissions. So, and then those clients, of course, become a part of our block. They become sources of renewals, they become sources of referrals. So, a lot of people are discouraged in the beginning buying leads and calling leads, and it can be a grind, but remember, the point is this is not a marathon. You're building a block of business that will continue to be a renewable resource. Doesn't mean we stop buying leads or we don't call leads, but if you get diversified and you build your block now, you have renewals from that. So, all right, so finding opportunities. And this is something that maybe if we have time, we can even like do a case study with somebody here. We can find some networking opportunities for you. But you can go to eventbrite.com, you can go to meetup.com. These are two really common websites where you can find opportunities socially, but also for business networking. So you could just type in business networking. It's going to have you set your location anyway with a zip code or your city. And this is kind of how we started. We went on Eventbrite and I found a networking group locally in Tampa that we were a part of for probably, I don't know, a year or two or something like that, and made great relationships that we still have today and got clients we still have today. So, Chamber of Commerce is a phenomenal opportunity. It's also typically a pretty low cost, like $300 to $400 a year. And, I was talking to, I think Amanda Ruhlman said the other day that she gets business just from being on the chamber website, right? Like, now it's not always going to work like that, but people do use these databases and these websites to find people they can trust. So there's an added benefit to that. The Chamber of Commerce, they're obviously everywhere, and you can visit their meetings for free more than once. You can go to their events for free. I actually am not a member of a chamber yet. I need to join one, but I will go to their events because their events are open to the community. And their meetings you can go to 2, 3 times before you join, and just decide if it's something that you can commit to and you enjoy. And that's why I haven't joined yet, but I should. So, and then BNI, we're going to talk probably the most about BNI, but everything we're going to talk about can relate to pretty much any networking you're doing. So BNI is my favorite networking group. I feel it's superior to Chamber of Commerce, but not everybody does. There are people and different industries who like Chamber better. So it is good to kind of dip your toes in different, arenas and see which ones you like. Okay, so getting the most out of networking, this stuff is important. We're gonna kind of go through some like do's and don'ts because if you're really new to networking, this stuff, it might seem obvious to you or it might be something that you wouldn't think of. So we'll start with the do's. So do focus on one-to-ones. We have found 3 1-to-ones a week is a good flow to generate referrals. So not everybody's schedule is the same, but I'll give an example. My BNI day is Thursday. I go to my BNI meeting and then I try to book 3 1-to-ones directly after the meeting. So from like 7:30 a.m. to like, I don't know, 1:30 or 2 o'clock that day, that's my BNI day. One day a week, six-figure return. It's well worth my time, right? And actually, even our first year in business, we went and looked back at the numbers. BNI was 20% of our business our first year. So if you get in a good chapter and you're consistent quickly, it is a long-term play, but it can start paying off pretty quickly. But more on that later. So, all right. So show up how you want them to perceive your business, right? Be on time, dress professionally. Accept a leadership role if they offer you one and you have the capacity, right? That's key. Um, but I see a lot of people kind of mess this up. They're kind of late, or they're kind of like you get one time a week where they're seeing you. They don't see you every day. They see you one time a week, and you need to be on in that meeting. And not fake and not, overly happy or anything, but you need to be on. You need to make sure that you're dressed the part and you're showing up with good energy. Prepare well for every opportunity to speak, and do your research. This is another one I see people mess up. They'll stand up. Pretty much every networking group will have like a 30 seconds or 15 seconds where you could stand up and introduce your name and your business. Prepare for that every single time you have the opportunity. My BNI, I get 30-second commercial. Every week on the way there, I'm saying out loud in the car multiple times what I'm going to say, because it helps you solidify it so you can focus on being relaxed and smiling and projecting and not being worried about what you're going to say. So prepare very well. I see people mess this up. I see veteranized people mess this up. They'll stand up and they'll be like, well, I don't really have any referral requests, or I'm going on vacation, so don't send me a referral. Never, ever, ever tell your referral partners that you're not open for business. Hey, I'm going to be out of town this week. I'm still available for your referrals, or I'm available for your referrals when I get back. Like, never mentally turn off the referral flow for the people that you're working with. And just make sure you have something to say that's prepared, right? Don't say the same thing every week. That's another one. Some people will say the same thing. People will tune you out after a while if you always say the same thing. So be specific, right? I like to run my 30 seconds in like little series. For a while I was looking for CPAs. So I looked up best CPAs in my city, and I would do a different one every week. I would say, okay, I do name and intro like I always do. And then a great referral this week would be an introduction to so and so. And I would give a specific name. And you wouldn't believe how effective that is because people say, oh, I know that person. And it's really helpful when 2 or 3 people know that person and they all vouch for you. So being specific can be really, really powerful. Don't feel like you're going to miss out on business because you're being too specific. It's usually the opposite. So if you have any questions about that, you can always ask me, but that's a pretty effective strategy. And then attend the socials. Don't just be in the networking group and show up once a week and then like run in, and then when the meeting ends, like run out the door. You're not going to be effective that way. You do have to kind of like people and go to the socials. If you have a significant other, bring your significant other to the socials, right? Show that you're bought into the group. It doesn't need to be your life, but they might have a social, maybe once a month, if that. Show up, show that you're a part of it, and you want to be there with everybody, and you want to hang out. It goes a really, really long way. It seems sort of silly in a way, but it just shows that you're bought in, and people feel way more comfortable with you. Okay, let's do the don'ts. Don't pick a group that you can't commit to. If you know that you don't have childcare on a specific day or at a specific time, um, you know, don't pick a group that meets at that time. If you're going to be absent a lot or you're not going to be able to commit to it, find something that works well for you, right? I'm in a BNI that meets at 7:30 a.m. every Thursday morning, but Cam is in a BNI that meets at like 11 a.m. on Tuesdays. So there are different times. There are hybrid BNIs. There are fully virtual, which I don't recommend, but they exist. So find something that you can really, really commit to for the long term. Don't sell to the room. We're never selling to the other person. We're never selling to the room. I'm always saying, this week a great referral would be your friends, your family, your clients that have XYZ need. If I'm not asking for a specific person, I always am putting it outside the room. And we do have clients in the room, but that's not our goal. We want people's referrals. Don't shotgun through a group hoping to get results. So that first group I mentioned that we joined in Tampa, it was really funny because I was super consistent, very, very consistent. 2 and 3 days a week, I was at different meetings. And it was funny because right before open enrollment, I remember being at a meeting and there was like 2 other health insurance agents who I had literally never seen before. And I was like, oh my word, they're here right before open enrollment because they're trying to like go network really quick and build referral relationships for open enrollment. And I'm like, I've been here. Like they don't have a chance. I've been here for months. Like I'm consistent. People know me, and I just sort of like thought it was funny. I just thought about it and I was like, huh, that's why they're here. And that's okay. Everyone's strategy is different, but consistency is always the most effective. And that's why you want to pick what you can commit to and what's a high use of your time. Uh, this is a big one. Don't feel the need to spend a lot of money attending events or joining country clubs or money on meals. Holy smokes. We look at sometimes what we spend eating out in our business expenses and we're like, we need to dial it in. But in the beginning, it's especially important because you want to keep expenses really, really low. Not a whole lot of people have a lot of extra money in the beginning. And if you do have extra money, you want to be putting it into leads. So don't do what we did, which like we did a lot of funny things wrong. But like for example, in Tampa, there's like two competing social clubs. You have the Center Club and the Tampa Club, and we joined the Center Club like 6 months into our business or something for literally no reason. We went to an event there, and we're like, "Wow, this is really nice," and we joined. And it was like it was whatever. It was a fun experience, but it was money that we didn't need to spend, and it's just you don't have to do that. Like you don't have to be fake. You don't have to like go and buy new golf clubs to like be good at insurance. Like you can just be around real people in your community and just be real and they will like you and you'll like them and you'll have good relationships. And then the money on meals thing, I can't emphasize that enough. Do coffee. I still to this day, I almost never will ask people to lunch or dinner coffee. They're like, well, isn't it weird to get coffee at noon? Nope, not for me. Hey, are you free at noon for coffee? I don't care. Like I will get lunch maybe like once a week out for networking, but maybe once. Like you would be surprised how quickly you will blow your budget if you are eating out all the time. And as or if you're like Damien and you eat out, I can't see everyone's faces right now, but because I'm sharing my screen. But if you're like Damien and you eat out and you pick up the tab for the other person, you'll really be surprised how quickly you blow your budget. So don't be like Damien in this one regard. Every other way you can be like him, but don't do that. Still, I'm like, please stop doing that. Okay, you guys, technical difficulties.
Matilda, while you're working through that,
Yeah.
who, like, as an agent, like, explain, like, who is BNI for? Like, is that like for the agent who has time, or is it for the agent that has money to invest? Is it or a little bit of both?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that if you can get into a good BNI, you should make the investment. That's my opinion because it is a little bit pricier. And we'll talk about chapters here in a moment. It is a little bit pricier. It's about $1,000 a year. And we have found it's completely worth the investment, but you do want to make sure that you have the money to continually do it and the time. I'm not sure why this isn't going. So I'm gonna,
Oh, do you need me to share
Sure.
my screen? Is it in Google Slides?
no, 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 I got it now. I just,
Reason I asked that because, like, Cam and I, we were completely opposite. We didn't have the time in the beginning to go to BNI and stuff because of all the kids and our schedules. So
yeah,
we were more of the smile and dial couple, right? Hitting the phones hard. But when we did get our first BNI and we did try to do it, everything you're saying is 100% correct. Like, don't sell to the room. We sold to the room. And we were burnt. We weren't burnt, but people were burnt by the previous health insurance person that was in our seat. And it's almost like we had to dig ourselves out of a hole that we theoretically didn't even put ourselves in.
yeah.
Right. So like that's kind of like what we figured out. And then obviously, you know, in that specific chapter, we could have like no matter what we did, we were always seen as like the bad health insurance people, even though we didn't ever do anything. I think we only sold like three people in that whole chapter.
Yeah.
So
It definitely is more complex when you have clients in the room. Um, just because insurance is an imperfect world, it doesn't matter what kind of policy they have. So yeah, I'm with you. I would much rather have people's referrals. I'm happy to help people in the room, but I'd much rather have their referrals. And as the back to the time thing, you definitely want to make sure that you have the time to commit to it because that's true. And we'll talk about this later, but if I always want to make it super clear, this never replaces buying or calling leads ever. Not until you're like at the point in your business when you can like strategically make that decision. But yeah, this is alongside buying and calling leads for sure. Okay, so this is probably the most important thing we're going to talk about. Like, if all of the rest of the stuff doesn't interest you, this should interest you. If you're not ready for BNI, even, this should interest you. And this is how to run a profitable one-to-one. So there's a lot of people who network a lot and they don't make the money they could make because they don't know how to have like run a conversation properly. So I mentioned we do 3 one-to-ones a week. And that's really just I'm having coffee with somebody in my networking group, occasionally outside my networking group, but it's people who are comfortable networking are used to that concept of, hey, let's meet and let's see how we can help each other and who can I introduce to you and vice versa. So running this conversation is really important. Also, as I mentioned, you don't need to be in BNI to do this. Like, say you go on Eventbrite or Meetup and you find a business networking happy hour. This is a big thing. You can get lost in the happy hours, you guys. It's fine if you want to go to them, but go with intent. Anytime I go to any kind of networking meeting, my goal is to meet 2 to 4 people that I'm impressed by. I'm getting their business card, not giving them my business card. I'm getting their business card, and then I'm going to book the one-to-one. And that's super easy because you're at a networking group, so it's not weird. Everybody expects that. Take their card and say, hey, this is great. We have a brief conversation. Maybe we should grab coffee sometime. I reach back out after that. Hey, I'm so and so. We met at this place. I'd love to grab coffee. How's Tuesday at 10? Whatever. And it's just like you do with prospects. You're just booking a meeting. And then when you get to the meeting though, what are you doing, right? So that's what we're going to talk about, like how to actually run a conversation. So the first thing is control the flow of conversation. Even if you feel like this person's like more professional or more polished than you, never let that intimidate you, because they're probably still not going to control the flow of the conversation. You can do that. And something that somebody who we respect a lot taught me, and I think about it all the time, is people want to be led. We think that like, well, I don't want to like try to tell somebody what to do or impose myself. Like, no. People want to be led. They want to know what's going on. And so that's what you could do by controlling the conversation. So this is how I do that in a very specific way. Go in, Starbucks, we get our coffee, whatever, we sit, talk about the weather, and then I make a transition. There's really like 2 transitions you have to master to have a good conversation. And after kind of the small talk, I'll say, hey, I'm not sure if there's a specific way you like to do your one-to-ones. I always just like to swap stories and talk best referral. Tell me about yourself. And I'll say, go as far back as you want to. And I'll just kind of sit back and I want to listen to them for like 15 or 20 minutes or whatever. And some people will talk for a really long time and you'll never get a word in edgewise. Some people you have to like pull everything out of them. But I use the same thing pretty much every time. And I'll just kind of let them tell their story. And I want to know about their background. I want to know how they met their wife. I want to know where they went to college and what they studied. Because that's the whole point. You're just getting to know people. And then after that, hopefully they'll say, well, what about you? Where are you from? Right. And then you tell your story. And that's the other thing. Have a story that you tell, not like a fake story. Have your story that you know how to tell in like a cohesive and clear way. You don't need to like rehearse it that much, but you'll kind of get a story of like, you know, I lived here, I was in this industry, I moved here, I got into this industry, had this transition, and you'll tell a story, right? And that I tell my story, it's pretty much the same thing every single time. And then that's kind of the story part. Second transition is the referral part. And I have no problem making that transition. It's super easy. And they're going to love to talk about this. You just say, so what's the best referral for you? And that's easy. Those are the 2 transitions. Setting up the conversation, setting the expectation. And then after kind of getting to know each other, making the transition so it's a productive business conversation. So who's a good referral for you? And I want to know a good client referral for them. And then I want to know good referral partners for them. So, for example, I'm trying to think of a good like real life example, but say I sit down with a lender and I'm talking, obviously I know a good referral for them is going to be somebody who's buying a house. I might not know somebody right away who's buying a house, but if I say, what are your good referral partners? And they say, well, I need to meet more realtors. Okay, great. We all know like 50 realtors. So I can say, okay, cool. Do you know so and so? And if they go, no, I could so, okay, great. I'm gonna make an introduction for you. And then you have like real profitable like fruit of the conversation. That is always the goal. And there's even this line that I heard this in a training, and sometimes I'll use this. I'll say, hey, I heard this great training, and people locally know who it was by. And I'll say, he had this great line of like, what am I doing for you? What are you doing for me? And I love that because it makes every one-to-one really profitable. So my goal is to either give or get a referral on every one-to-one, sometimes both. And it's not always a client referral. Remember, sometimes it's a connection. And I'm still happy to get that because then I'm going to book a meeting with that person. So I'm not trying to belabor this part, but this is like probably the most important piece of this is controlling the flow of a conversation and getting a result from it. Otherwise, you'll be going to happy hours till you're blue in the face and you'll be like, I don't have any business, but I have a really high credit card bill. And I'll be like, okay, we talked about this. Oh, one more thing on that. And it just slipped my mind. I'll come back to it. Okay. So what not to do in one-to-ones? Don't do fun-to-ones. Sometimes this will happen after a networking meeting or the happy hour thing. Hopefully you're not going anywhere with anyone after happy hour, but after like a networking meeting in the morning or lunch or whatever, people will say, hey, like let's all go to breakfast or let's all go to my office or let's all go to coffee. My answer to that is almost always, oh, I have a one-to-one because I have my calendar booked with profitable meetings and I'm not going to go and do like the group fun to one hangout. Now, it's not that you should never do that, just don't do it every time. Like every now and again, if your calendar's not booked after a meeting or whatever networking meeting you're a part of, chamber or BNI or whatever, they say, hey, we're all going to go do this. You should participate. Just make sure it's not all you do because you're not going to get more than likely you're not going to get business out of that. You're just going to like be having fun with people, which is important, but it's not a one-to-one. And then of course, don't sell to the person. We talked about that. And then don't forget to follow through, right? Like make a note or do your action steps right there. If I have a thought and I'm like, oh, I want to introduce you to this person, you know, for example, I sat down with a professional organizer a couple weeks ago and I was talking to her about good referrals for her and referral partners. And one of them was a moving company. I was like, oh, I have a moving company in my chapter. Here, let me introduce you to him right now. You guys should set up a meeting. Boom, three-way text right there. Because then there's a fruit from the meeting and it's not kind of like just falling off the back burner. Okay. Yeah, free. That's a great message. Yeah, absolutely. Are you asking? I don't think you're asking me. I think you're just like sharing that as a tip. But yeah, that's awesome. Talk about why you do what you do 100%. Okay, so that's pretty much a one-to-one, and we can always talk more in depth about that if you have questions, but that is the most important part that we could talk about because even if you do nothing else, you want to have profitable conversations with people. Okay, so finding the best fit, let's talk about BNI really quickly. If you're at that place where you're like, you know what, I think I do want to put some money, throw some money at this networking thing, I have the time and I want to get into BNI. There are good BNI chapters, then there are better BNI chapters. So always visit multiple groups. I think Mike Morell is on here. He visited a couple and he was like, what? He came to mine. We have a killer group, but he can't join mine. And then he visited another one. He was like, what's going on? And then he found a killer chapter. So visit multiple groups. Don't just join the first one because you might regret that. Select a group with at least 25 people and ideally 40,000 seat value or higher. So when you're looking for BNI, same thing. You can type in BNI and then your city, BNI Houston, BNI Tampa, and you'll see search results pop up. And you should be able to find like a list of all the chapters. And it might take a little bit of legwork, but you can find the chapters that don't have your seat. Better yet, see if you can find a person you can reach out to. That's always my preference, who, not how. I want to find a person I can reach out to and say, hey, what chapters in your region have an empty health insurance seat? And then I just want them to send me a list and then narrow down from there. So that's the better way to do it. But you can look at their websites and it will show their closed business for the rolling 12 months for each chapter you look at. It will show how many people are in the chapter. BNI does not work with small chapters. I was in a chapter that had like 12 people in it prior to the one I'm in now. And then we dropped down and we got stuck at 9 people for months and months and months. And it's painful. And every personality problem is bigger because there's 9 people in the room. I made like $4,000 in 7 months, I think, which is not a good return. And I ended up leaving that chapter. So just really pick right. And then and text whoever you're working with. Text me. I don't care. I'll look at the chapter with you or for you. I know Mike sent me the chapter he joined, and I was like, holy smokes, this is a killer chapter. Like, definitely get this one if you can. And then it is best to get like some sales. Like, I do not recommend BNI be where you get your first sale, because here's the thing: if you get into a room with high level people, which you will be, and they smell like any like if they smell blood, it's not going to go very well for you. It's very easy to lose your credibility, and you might not even know you lost your credibility because people will still be nice to you. They're just not going to do any business with you. So you really want to make sure that you're presenting yourself very professionally, constantly. And again, not fake, not facade, but just being aware. Um, and you want to have some sales ideally. So I recommend about 6 months after starting, you join a chapter, but you don't have to wait that long. Like, get a few sales, get rolling. You can join a good chapter. Just be like, make sure that you're, on your game. And then ask about the relationship with the past health insurance agent, to Manny's point. How long they were there. Was it a good experience? You might be overcoming a little bit either way. If they had a negative experience, you're going to overcome the negative. If they had a really positive experience and they loved that person, then some of them are still going to be loyal to that person. It's okay. You'll build your own great relationships, but it is helpful to just be kind of aware of who you're replacing. Okay, and then referral partners to seek out. So compatible professions, accountants and CPAs are really great. Commercial and home and auto insurance agents, fabulous. Financial planners, hairstylists and barbers, they're talking to everybody. Life insurance agents are really good. We have a great referral relationship with the life insurance agent in our chapter, and we can talk more about that as well. Of course, you want to write the life insurance if you can, but there is still opportunity to share business, and not have this mentality of I have to keep everything or I'm losing it. That's how I started. Honestly, I was like, I don't want to send any life insurance out to him because I want to write the life insurance. Well, we've worked it out with him. We do write the life insurance. We'll write, the Mutual of Omaha, their Term Life Express, and then if they need more or want more, we partner with him, and we have a relationship where we get a cut of that, the business he writes, and he's going to take our clients and put them in much bigger policies. So it's a win-win. So try to have that mentality of like, there's enough to go around. And, in BNI, they call it giver's gain. Like, don't feel like you have to hoard business. Like, be open to working with other people. And then how to connect. Like, this is kind of a little bit higher level. Like, we could talk about this later down the road, but events and presentations should get in front of bigger groups. You're going to present in front of your networking group. Some people don't like that, but it's a really good opportunity to just grow yourself and talk to people. And typically right after you present is when you actually start getting referrals. Like, if you join a BNI, this happened to Damien, join a BNI, and before you present, people only hear from you for 30 seconds a week. They don't know what you do. We assume people know what we do because we know what we do. We're like, it's obvious. They don't know what we do. He had somebody walk up to him like 6 months after he joined a chapter, and they were like, wait, you do individual health insurance? They thought he only did groups. So never assume people know what you do. They don't. You have to be so clear with people. And then events and presentations. And just to be clear, because that sounded confusing, we are only in one BNI. We're not both BNIs. We have one chapter. But he was in it first and I took a seat over. Okay, but yeah, these are good opportunities to consider getting in front of real estate offices. Real estate agents are great opportunities for clients. Sponsoring events or parties, again, don't feel the need to sponsor stuff in the beginning. And then lunch and learns. Lunch and learns are great because the only thing you're paying for is lunch. And it might cost you $100, $150 maybe to feed 12, 15, 20 people. And you're getting in front of all of these faces. So lunch and learns are really good if you can get them to them. Then a couple little case studies here. Hairstylists we had in the chapter referred another hairstylist. They're both clients. Then she referred us to a woman opening a private practice medical clinic. She was thrilled to meet us. We have material in her office. She's actually, we both see her as our doctor now, and we refer clients back and forth. So you never really like know, and she's not even in BNI. I try to get her to come all the time, and she's just too busy right now. But um, yeah, it's just you never know where it's going to lead. And then commercial insurance agent. So I use this example a lot because it just speaks volumes about the power of networking. There's a commercial insurance agent in my chapter. We're very good friends with the owner of the agency now. And side note, we built that relationship with a lunch and learn. I knew the agent in the chapter. He said, come into the office, bring lunch, get to know the owner. We brought lunch in. We've done it 2 or 3 times now. Brought lunch in, sat in the conference room, and literally for like a whole afternoon, we just sat there and the owner wandered in, started talking to Damien, talked to him for like an hour or two, and just built a relationship. And now he's like obsessed with Damien. He calls him all the time. He thinks he's like the greatest thing on earth. And he's sends him a lot of business. We get a lot of business from Tommy. But they referred us to a family, they had just sold their garage door company for like $110 million. So that's somebody who, if they're a B lead, you might get the business. But if they're a referral from their commercial insurance agent, you're going to get the business. And those are the type of people you start meeting. And again, that wasn't from the swanky club, center club, or Tampa club or anything. That wasn't from any of that. That was from BNI, small town, community, taking lunch in, just being a real person. Oh, my other slide is gone. Okay, my other slide is gone. Before we wrap with questions, because actually it's like 20 of. My last 2 points, I just want to make sure people understand this doesn't replace buying and calling leads. We are spending more in leads now than we ever have, and that's by choice. We don't have to do that, but like just don't ever be like, oh, I'm not going to buy leads or call leads because I'm networking. You will slow yourself down so much. And also, the skills you build and the edge you build, picking up the phone and calling people, you're going to need that for networking because somebody's going to ask you a question. You need to answer on the fly. You need to be confident. So you need to be on the phones, at least in the beginning. Not forever, but at least in the beginning. And then the other thing was just the consistency. I can't emphasize that enough. The success you have in networking is based entirely upon how consistent you are and how professional you are. And like both of those things together. Because if you start to show up late to the meeting or you kind of miss some meetings or you show up and you look kind of disheveled or like we all have off days, of course, but you want to really, really like bring the energy on to whatever networking meetings you're going to. And it will pay you really, really well, but just be aware of that. Like you have to be consistent for it to work well for you. So that's really it. Any questions or comments or thoughts? If there's no questions, I want to hear from Kenny a couple tips, if you would, Kenny, on networking, because you've been doing this for a while really effectively.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you where, my first year, 2025, just this past year was my first full calendar year, as a licensed health insurance agent, and my networking group, consisted almost 25% of my sales. I sold, I think, just under, I think it was like 492,000 in annual premium, and 87,000 of that came from my networking group. It was huge, and the biggest thing that I've learned in networking is like just showing up to the meeting is not enough. You have to do the one-on-ones. And the one-on-ones is like not secondary. Like it's like just as important. And sometimes it's not doing your first one-on-one. The first one-on-one is important, but doing a second one-on-one, with somebody that you haven't met with in a while, but doing those one-on-ones, having the 30-second prepared. It's weird. You mentioned it, how you were looking for a specific person in your 30-second commercial. It's weird, but how you get more results the more specific you are. Michelle Boley, who's a PNC agent today, was talking about that in my networking meeting. How she does. They own the local Geico office, so they primarily do auto insurance, and she's like, anybody with a car, and she says how is we were just laughing about it after the meeting, because that's what she like is always feels like she's inclined to say. But obviously everybody that has a car should have insurance, but the more you can like narrow that down, the easier it is for someone else to refer you.
100%. Like if she said, "Hey, who's the stressed out single mom who needs to save a little bit of money right now to have groceries or to pay for gas?" And you would go, "Oh, I know somebody. Huh, I wonder if they could save a little bit of money with Michelle." Like, exactly, yeah. And I'm glad
Yeah.
you mentioned that, Kenny, about the second one-to-one, because that's true. When it's been 6 months or a year since you've done a one-to-one with somebody, I like to do another one. And I want to know, like, hey, how are you? How's business? That's really what the second one's for to me. How's business? What's going well right now? Who are you primarily working with? Oh, is your business mainly residential or commercial right now? And just
Mhm.
asking questions about their business and getting to know where they're at and doing the same thing again.
Yeah.
And getting
BNI
questions.
BNI is like is great because they they track and manage like everything. And if you don't know what to do, just do what they're telling you to do. Like it's not magic. Like if you just do what they're telling you to do, like do your one-on-ones, like focus on referring other people, and then you'll start getting referred. Like, but focus on like getting other people referrals first, almost before you are trying to get a referral for yourself. Try to get a referral for the other people in the group, like the giver's gain mentality. If you just follow what BNI is telling you to do, you can then apply that formula at any other networking group, and it's going to be successful.
Yeah, that's great, Kenny. I mean, and I want to go back to where Matilda was talking about when you're doing your presentations during those meetings, your 30-second or whatever what is it, 2 minutes or whatever they give you. That's your time to shine, and it can't be more important because what is one thing that we offer we have every product out there, right? If you're not obviously pitching life insurance, but you can really, really hit a home run on the health side by, hey, ACA, group, private, whatever, show them all that stuff in your presentation and let them know that like you are not just a captive person selling one product, that you have so many options for so many people in different variations of their life. And and honestly, like Cam, I think had hers today. And she obviously has been doing it for a while, but she gets so excited because after every single one of these presentations, her phone is blowing up with referrals because that is your time to shine, right? And most people will come in there like, I don't want to do it. Like I think she was telling you, Matilda, when you guys were over the other night, like people are like so scared about doing it and stuff. I'm like, this is your business. This is what you wanted to do, is be an independent insurance broker, self-employed. You need to get out there and basically spread the word. And the best way to do it is in this networking group. But no, Kenny's doing a great job. Damon and Matilda, I mean, you guys have crushed it. I think even all USABG, you guys have one of the highest numbers in referral marketing, which is insane. And to piggyback on what Matilda said is also, guys, you don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? That's something we try to tell everybody not to do, because when you do that and that basket dries up, what happens, right? So they still buy leads, right? Damien can tell you what he's investing every month into leads and also what he's investing into his time, right? For
Don't get
being
him started. Don't get him started right now.
I know,
We don't
but
have
like I
time.
said,
I'm just kidding.
and he's had conversations with me in the past, and he's like, "Well, I'm 70% referral based." I'm like, Yeah, but that's still 30% out there that you're not doing anything with. I was like, when you start to get to 100% referral based, then maybe you can take a step back on buying leads, right? And then you got to weigh your pros and cons, right? Everybody does it, but this is great. This is a great training. I love
Close.
the
We're at
information.
we're at 80% and close. Getting there.
Still got
I
20%
think by
left.
the end of the year I won't have to buy leads anymore.
And that's
Possibility.
the point I want to make. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. For all the people who hate calling leads, I hated calling leads. Just do it. It will make you a better, stronger individual. Like, Brittany, you're freaking killing it on the leads. I don't know how. You're like a people magnet. And I think that's why I know that you've already done in-person networking, and I'm sure that you'll continue to do that and crush it. But your skills translate on the phone really well. So you're killing it. I can't believe how good you are on the phone. I'm like, same with Thomas too. We heard Thomas's his phone practice. I was like, holy smokes. We have some people who are really good on the phone. So you guys will take that and it will make you exponential when you're talking to people.
It's funny. You're talking about like, just because you have a life license doesn't mean you have to sell a life or you're losing life business because you have the health seat. Alex Haberman on this call right now came from BNI with Cam and he held the life seat. And now he's doing it health insurance with us, right? And he still has a whole other life, entity outside of USCBG. So, it's sometimes you telling people what you do and what you have access to actually helps you, right? And gets you more people that want to say, well, I want to do it all just like you do, right? So it's pretty cool.
Yay, awesome. Any other thoughts or questions from anybody?
That was good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for your input, Free, on the why you do it. That's a great point. In your one-to-ones, that's a really good thing to be adding. Why you're doing what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I worked at New York Life, and we didn't have leads. We had to go out in, suits or just wearing sports coats and setting appointments. And it's hard to tell someone you do life insurance right off the bat. So we had to learn to kind of adapt and really ask a lot of questions. And then the BNI or any type of we went to a lot of the events to the Eventbrite that were free. So that was hard. There's like 3 or 4 people, but you're basically wanting to just explain what your purpose is and what's your why. Why am I trying to passionately make a living at what I do? And that's you kind of tailor that specifically to what you found out they're doing, and now you're kind of aligned with them. And then never trying to sell, but like you said, like leading them down a path. But what you really need to do is just build credibility and trust.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. All right, cool. I'm working on getting Kelly into BNI. Kelly, am I close? Have I won you over yet?
You are totally close. Just let this baby come out.
All right.
For the record, it's not Kelly's baby.
Not
No.
Kelly's
Even though I'm
not
not at the
trying to-
age where I can still have kids, but
I'm not trying to. Yeah, that would be like so harsh. I was like, I'm gonna make you, even though you're postpartum, you're joining BNI.
well, it's reached the point this week since I actually put appointments on my calendar, given the fact that I've gotten so over it. I actually told Emily this morning, I said Thursday would be a good day for me for you to have the baby.
Oh my god.
And
Thursday
Medicare is a good seat.
afternoon.
Medicare is a really good seat in BNI. It's always the one that's pretty much never filled.
Never filled.
Well, I'm trying to concentrate more on under 65.
I know.
We're gonna make her ambidextrous.
I'm not giving up completely on Medicare, but I'm really only doing it as referrals. So you're right, with BNI, that would be kind of the sweet spot for referrals. But
I've been working on Kelly for a long time though, so I better be your sponsor.
Well, my one big thing though is like one of the major, don'ts is don't do something you can't commit to. And I didn't feel like I could fully commit to it. So I didn't want to I didn't want to put a bad taste in anybody's mouth. So
and that's smart. Yeah. You listen to the training. Look at that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, 100%. When you're ready, we'll get you a killer chapter and it's gonna help your business a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, guys, like she's 100%. Don't commit. If you can't commit to it, don't try to do it because you don't want to do anything like, 50%. You want to give it 110%.
But if you can't commit to it, like that is the nice thing about Chamber of Commerce. They're not as strict. You can go to Chamber of Commerce once a month if you want. So if you're like, I really don't have the money or I really don't have the time, like and you want to dip your toe in it, like you can. There are ways you can do it. So
They do the same thing, right? Chamber host events and meetups like once or twice a week. You know, I know
My
we
my
were doing it.
chamber,
Kenny's doing it, right? Are you
yeah,
Tampa, Kenny,
my
Riverview?
chamber has 3 leads groups a week, not a
Yeah.
week. Two of them meet weekly. One of them is bi-weekly on the north side of town, but they have leads groups that function very similar to a BNI. It's just not one seat per profession. So sometimes you'll have more than one realtor or more than one financial advisor, but in those leads groups, you know how many health insurance people there are? None except for me. So, the one seat per profession isn't like a big deal. But and it's $30 a month to be a member of the chamber.
Yeah.
It's a fraction of the cost, and it can be worked effectively, but BNI is always best. It is more expensive, but it is best because it gives you the training wheels on what are the necessary actions you have to take in order for networking to be successful. Whereas the chamber doesn't have those training wheels. Nobody's holding you accountable whether you show up or not. So it is cheaper, and can be just as effective if it's worked the same way as BNI is.
Yeah. And that's a great point. That's the whole point I'm trying to make. Yes. Have your metrics, hold yourself accountable, and you'll see the results. So yeah, that's a good point, Kenny. Cool. Well, yeah, there's lots of people in BNI. Jeff Nassani's in a killer Miami chapter. Charlie's in a good chapter out in Missouri. So, um, yeah, it's awesome. All right, well, that's all I had. I mean, Manny, I'll turn it back over to you, and we can wrap early or whatever you want to share. And
No, I think that was great. Like I said, it's a lead source. That's something. Am I muted? No, never mind. Yeah, it's a lead source that it's an avenue that you guys can participate in, right? And it's like I said, she said it's all based off time, your schedule, availability, commitment, stuff like that. There's different options, chambers, obviously, social clubs and all this kind of stuff you can do. But BNI does have the best results. You're going to see the most from it, in my opinion. And obviously, like I said, it is holding you accountable, right? To be there every week and you're not canceling and missing appointments and stuff like that. So no, I think it's great. Like I said, we were against it for years. We fought it. We were fighting it left and right because Cam and I were like, we were doing so well, just working our own schedule, hitting the phones, setting appointments. But eventually you need another source, right? So the more sources you have to you, and especially if they're referral based, it takes you out of being the hunter, right? In the insurance world. So you don't have to go hunt anymore. Now you just got people coming to you. And that is the end goal for every single insurance person in whatever line of insurance you're doing. I literally talked to Jess on Saturday. She said, self-gen is the best lead moving forward. Once you're self-generated and referral based, you're done. Like you don't have to worry about spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars to, fuel your business of leads and making calls, stuff like that. So it's a great training, guys. And if anybody has anything else related or anything non-related, we can touch on that.
We're
And
doing training on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, training on Thursday.
Is it just the last Thursday of the month?
No, so we're trying to do it. It's every Tuesday and Thursday, but we have on the second Thursday of every month we
On
have
the
our
second Thursday.
leader
Okay.
meeting. Yeah, so usually every second Thursday we don't.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that's all I got, guys. You guys got anything?
all right, good to see everyone. We're good.
Yeah, Med Mutual's got a training in the USCBG back office. There's a calendar. Med Mutual's got a training at 1:00 today. That'd be really good for any new agent.
Yeah. Good point, Kenny. And
Thank you,
also
Kenny.
tomorrow, guys.
That's great. Kenny with the update. Yeah.
Tomorrow, that LifeX group training, very, very important to be on. They have
Is that the deep dive live tomorrow?
Yeah. So tomorrow, deep dive live on the what is it called, Damien?
XGB.
XGB. Okay, XGB group, right? For small groups. Cigna and potentially getting United Healthcare Network come 7/1. So I would definitely recommend being on that training so you can have alternative options. And then it's another source for groups, right? Moving forward in the future. right? Start to come toward open enrollment. People are going to start wanting to talk and get you on a calendar for groups and stuff like that. So that would be a good option for you. So definitely tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern.
All right. Love it. Thank you all. Good to see everyone.
Likewise, appreciate y'all. Thank you.